Have you ever binge watched an entire series in one sitting? You were like, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? There's something that makes you so curious about what's gonna happen next at the end of each episode. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about the secrets to writing an audio drama series or a fiction podcast series if you want to put your story out there. I'm going to tell you all the secrets I know as a screenwriter, mainly in the fiction podcast series world at this point. Today we're talking about how to write an audio drama series or a fiction podcast series, whatever you want to call it, by the way. Some people like calling it audio drama series. Some people like fiction podcast series, whatever your preference is. But writing a podcast series is a really good start as a screenwriter, especially because if you're writing books, you might want to consider turning them into an audio drama series to see if there is an audience out there for you. You can also do audiobook, of course, but this will really help you figure out how the chapters or more like episodes in an audio drama series work, how you can elevate your story, how you can put it out there, how you can maybe turn your TV show into a fiction podcast series and build an audience for it. So let's get started because I have very helpful tips, and all the tips I'll tell you today are very easy to apply tips or secrets. You can learn from these mistakes I made and other writers have made and take them and apply it to your own writing. Let's start. Number one secret is audio only. This may sound obvious, but audio drama series or fiction podcast series, they're audio only productions. They're audio only shows. I saw a lot of writers, even some showrunners, producers, including myself at the beginning of my journey, by the way. Even now, sometimes I find myself doing this mistake and I automatically realize, I shouldn't do this. So I feel like one of the biggest mistakes is trying to approach audio drama series writing as a TV show writing. Sometimes it's actually very helpful. It's not a big mistake that you can make. Sometimes it's very helpful when it comes to cliffhangers of each episode. It's really good to approach it like a TV show writing. But in this number one tip we have to remember that the audience are listeners. So they can only listen to things. They can't see a screen where things are happening. They don't know what's going on unless they hear. It's almost like patting into someone, like tapping someone's shoulder. You hear the noise, but you don't really know who's tapping to whose shoulder, in what way, and if that tap sound is tapping to a shoulder or not. So that's why there's always the question of, do I need to narrate the story? Do I need a narrator? Or should the narrator be my main character's inner voice, which so many writers choose it? For example, Bonnie Screws Up has main character's inner thoughts, but they don't necessarily narrate unless there's something going on with her feelings. Like she may have the need to narrate it, but not necessarily to an audience. It's more like to herself. Like, oh my God, he is holding my hand. I don't know what to do. Okay, Bonnie, get it together. So that's like an example. There's also a show by Rom-Com Pods. I think it's called Showmans. It's a fun show. The characters' inner thoughts, though, they suddenly start narrating what's going on, like this happened, that happened, in a very nice way. I really like that show. Similarly, I think Royals of Malibu do the same thing. But here's the thing. Again, if a character is holding hands with another character, we can't see that on screen like we see on a TV show. Only if someone says, holding hands with you feels so good, or something like that. That's when we can know they're holding hands. If the main character's inner voice maybe narrates what's going on, like the way I told you with Bonnie Screws Up, he's holding my hand, I feel weird, well, get it together, Bonnie, or something like that, or his hands are cold or warm. So if no one says anything about holding hands, we have no idea they're holding hands. So I saw some writers go like, on a fiction podcast series script or an audio drama series, you're telling me someone and the other character holds hand in an action line. Nobody's gonna read the action line unless a narrator is reading action lines. You know what I mean? Nobody is gonna know they're holding hands. But a fiction podcast series only have to have sound. It's the most important thing. Think about sounds. Think about what you're gonna hear. It's almost like be the director of your own audio drama series right now while writing, because that's how you're gonna think about the sounds, and you're gonna think about how your audience, how your listener is going to listen to your story and understand what's going on. Because when someone doesn't understand the story, they really just stop listening or stop watching. And I'm well aware that this rule in audio drama series writing kind of goes against the basic rule of screenwriting, and that is try to guess. Try to guess which rule I'm talking about. Did you guess? Okay, leave me a comment if you guessed. Show, don't tell, which is my number 2 secret. So in screenwriting, if you have seen my previous videos, if you have taken screenwriting courses, show, don't tell is such an important rule. We can't keep telling this audience what's going on, or how a character feels, or why are they doing what they're doing. We have to show them why they're doing what they're doing. We have to show it in acting, we have to show it in their face, we have to show it in action that they're taking, we have to show it in the way they're talking, or the way they're they're like, for example, if a character doesn't like the other character, but they're acting like they like it, they can be like, oh yeah, totally, I totally get it. And then the character turns around and they're no longer smiling, which happens in real life, by the way, but on the screen, that tells the audience, oh, our character doesn't like this other character. It's a show, don't tell. The character never says, I don't like this character. No, we show it in the face. So in audio drama series, though, we actually have to tell the audience what's going on, because they can't see anything. They can't see that a character is smiling while talking to this other character, but then they stop smiling. We can't actually see that on a screen, so we have to tell the audience through a narrator, through a main character's inner voice, or whatever your choice of telling is. Even if we have to tell and that we can't show, we have to be very careful, because there's a thin line there. If we keep telling way too much than necessary to the listeners, we may actually bore them, because they might be like, why do I have to know this much? You know what I mean? Can I just enjoy the story? So there's really a very thin line of balance there. I see this in a lot of fiction novels, actually. They keep talking about, oh, this character is wearing this, that character is wearing that. Actually, nobody really cares about what they're wearing, unless there's something really big about it and there's a planned and payoff. Let's cut to the chase, because I'm excited about what's gonna happen next. I'm excited about what the character is gonna do rather than what they're wearing. Ask the question, can I show this in the audio? So we have to be smart about it. I have a lot to say about show, don't tell in the fiction podcast writing world. I don't want to take a lot of your time, so I'll make another video about it. Make sure to subscribe if you're interested and you want to get notified when that video is out. So number 3, choice of narrator. So I've been talking a lot about narration. Either there's another narrator narrating what's going on the screen, on the invisible screen, or the character's inner voice is narrating what's going on. So the third secret to writing an audio drama series is to choose your narrator and then stick to it. Let me just, if you want a separate narrator voice, that's fine actually. There's a lot of fiction podcast series who suddenly have this narrator talking. There's also a lot of video games that have a narrator. Like they stop suddenly and this narrator suddenly starts narrating what's going on. So whatever your narrator is, stick to it. We shouldn't suddenly hear someone else or one of the other characters narrating it. Stick to the narrator of your choice. For that to happen, I decided to have this rule where the entire show revolves around Bonnie. So there's no scene that happens for the audience to listen that doesn't have Bonnie in it. Because Bonnie is the person who grounds us into the story. This is Bonnie screws up. It's Bonnie's story. So if Bonnie doesn't witness something, then we can't witness it. But remember to choose the style of your show, and you have to decide on a narrator to make sure you execute that style. So you have to listen to a lot of audio drama series. Again, you have to listen to a lot of fiction podcast series, see what worked, see what didn't work in those shows, and see what different types of narrators they use. And I'll also share types of narrators in audio drama series for another video. I'm gonna keep going with audio drama series for a while. And I'm gonna share how to find your voice as a writer. So if you're still here, please subscribe and like and comment. Okay, so number 4 secret is story versus structure. This is very important. So throughout my journey in screenwriting and writing audio drama series, I've learned that structure is a very important part of writing. Without structure, the story is like this happened and then that happened and then that happened. That's not very fun. But with structure, it's more like, oh, my character experienced something. Now she wants to achieve something. So she does this, but it backfires like this. Now her friends try to help her, but this other thing happens. And now she has to do something else to keep going, and so on and so forth. Before I did my master's in screenwriting, I used to write science fiction and fantasy in exactly the first way. This happened and this happened and this happened. And I used to really put so much thought into the world building rather than the character. Okay, the world is great. You built the world, but what's up with your character? What does she want in this world? How does she fit into this world? What is her desire? What is her flaw? What does she have to overcome? How did she grow up? And how does she act? My professional screenwriter mentors kept telling me, okay, Sada, you have a great world, but who cares? Who cares? Tell me who cares. Because if we don't find anything to care in a character, then that just doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Who cares about your character? Like, what does your character want? Why do we care about your character's journey? Where is your character going? Why is she or he relatable? How do we relate to your character and their life? That's why if you're gonna write an audio drama series, but you have no experience or education in screenwriting, make sure to, follow me first of all, because that's literally why I'm here. But there are also free resources out there. There's a lot of like masterclass and things like that you can do if you're serious about writing. Once you learn screenwriting, you realize that story is all about structure. The way you tell the story. So for example, some movies that are adaptation of stories or books that exist, people usually complain about how the movie sucked. You know what I mean? Because it was so different from the book. Well, it had to be, because now it's a movie. Now it's something that people are gonna watch, and they have to be at the edge of their seats. You know, they can't be like, oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Like I told you about book writing. What I don't like is, oh, the character is wearing this or that. We don't care. We really don't care. We need to be faster in this day and age, unfortunately. The book had no structure, and the screenwriter, while adapting, had to put the structure in there. Maybe some chapters had to, flip, like some things had to be different, some characters had to change, because the screenwriter has to put those beats of the story and make it into a meaningful story. I also see a lot of audio drama series not getting renewed for another season, and the common thing they have is no structure. It's just like the writer wanted to tell their life story or something that happened to them, which is great, they should, but they write it exactly the way it happened. I'm sorry, that's not fun. That doesn't hook the audience, and there is no active characters that's actively chasing what they want. It's just about the tragedy that happened to them. Oh, my dad died. I'm sorry, by the way, I did lose my dad a year ago, so everything just kind of revolves around that. Your dad died. Okay, what did you do about it? What happened next? And what did you do about what happened next? Needs to be active. The character has to be active. When it's like this happened, that happened, and then that happened, there's no premise to the story. So number 5 is cliffhangers. A cliffhanger is an ending of an episode, but it doesn't end. It rather makes the audience curious about what's gonna happen next. Have you ever binge watched an entire series in one sitting? Because you couldn't stop. You were like, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? Well, there's something that makes you so curious about what's gonna happen next at the end of each episode. It's almost like the story resolves, but there's always something else like at the end that makes you want to be like, oh my God, I was gonna sleep now, but I can't because now I have to watch the other episode. And most of the time while you're listening to a show or watching a show, that cliffhanger turns out to be, not that big of a deal when it resolves in the next episode. But at that moment, at the ending of the previous episode, it seems like a very big deal. It seems like some big character is about to die, or something really changed about a character's life. It's like, oh, their dead father, I'm so sorry again, but their dead father shows up at the doorstep and, oh, he wasn't dead, But usually in the long run, there wasn't much to that cliffhanger. It's just to keep the audience coming back. And finally, number 6 is keep the budget in mind. When it comes to writing audio drama series, we have to make sure to keep the budget in mind. If you're going to produce it on your own, you have to have money to rent a studio, or you have to have the equipment at home, you have to buy the equipment. But the budget comes down to studio and or equipment, hiring actors, water and food for the set, for the recording day or recording days, and the post-production budget. So for the writing part, I really suggest that you keep the budget in mind in terms of actors. How many characters do you have? Can you make sure you have a minimum number of characters so you can cast accordingly? For example, for Bonnie Screws Up, the production company had a budget restriction in terms of actors. So I had to keep season 1 to 8 characters maximum. We also had the professional voice actors doing the voice of minor characters like reporter or like some stranger on the street saying something. So we don't exceed the budget and hire additional actors and pay them for the entire day. By the way, if you're hiring them for 1 hour, 8 hours, 12 hours, doesn't matter. You pay them a day fee. That's how it works in Hollywood, if you didn't know. As the writer, I also had to make sure there are not many minor characters, because then the audience might catch up to it. Even though they're like professional voice actors and they really did a great job, I also had to think about the audience where I can't have that many minor characters. I can only have characters if they're absolutely necessary. If not, I don't need them. So you have to limit yourself in writing and make sure that you have the budget in mind. How many days you're going to shoot, how many characters, have that in mind already. If you have a production company, talk to them about it. What's their budget? If you are going to produce it yourself, well, talk to yourself then and make sure you know your budget, because you can't spend that much, right? I mean, if you want to, you can. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it helps you with your writing journey. Next, I'm going to talk about how to find your voice as a writer and an artist. I'm going to give you literally a step-by-step guide that you have to do for 3 weeks, and then you're going to know your voice. Okay, you're going to discover your unique voice. You're going to discover what you like writing about, or if you're an artist, sculpture artist, even that works. If you're a painter, I will help you find your voice. And I'm also going to talk about how to structure a script for an audio drama series. I'll also talk about why you should write an audio drama series if your TV pilot script is not selling. And I'll just share every single thing that I learned while working in this industry, because I really want to help people out. I want to make sure you follow your dreams just as I did and start expressing yourself. It's time for artists to really take off. If you want to get notification whenever I post, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if it was helpful. If you're going to use this as a guide, please let me know so I can support your audio drama series. That's what we have to do. We have to just keep supporting each other. That's how this works. Thank you so much for watching this. We're going to do great things together. And yeah, I hope you join me. Believe in yourself and see you soon. Bye.